think I may be on the.
How's
Hello?
it going on your end?
Oh yeah, it's cool. It's cool on my end. Yeah, it's cool.
All right.
Yes, I think we got it going. So, who we got on the line today? I got a special. Well, let me probably introduce you. I got a special guest today on the Hellcat line. Special guest, go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right. Greetings. My name is Dr. Sijo Baldwin. I am representing Champion of Truth Kennels.
Champion of Truth.
Yes.
You said a key word in the beginning, doctor. Where that title come from? I mean, what's your, how long you been a doctor?
Non-traditional herbalist.
Okay. Right.
Certified by the Mid-America's Wushu family up under Baba Abbott, George Calhoun. Back in the 90s, I started studying under Dr. Sebi as well.
Okay.
And then also have a doctorate in martial arts as well.
True that.
Yeah.
Nice to know. So
Yes, sir.
Let's get to the dogs. When you got started in the dogs?
Okay. I'm going to be brief, but I'm going to be factual.
All right.
Excuse me. I've always had love for the dogs, and I've always been attracted to a good dog. So my father had a rule that I couldn't own a dog unless that dog stood up for me and for himself, meaning that he would find somebody with a dog, tie the dog up, and made it seem like the dog was going to attack me, but it actually attacked the dog. And if the dog didn't stand up for itself, I couldn't keep it. So we're talking about in the 60s.
So, no, go ahead.
Good. In 1968, I got introduced to the pit bull via my grandmother. But my uncle, my mother's youngest brother, was the one who controlled this particular Kobe dog named Bullet. But I already had a love for dogs and everything way before then. So, but Bullet kind of sealed it for me, and I knew once I graduated, I wanted to breed the American Pit Bull Terrier.
Well, you went in. I didn't want to stop you because the more you talked, I'm like, my ears is just wide open. But I wanted to interject for a second when you said something about as far as with your dog, your father, basically like a little simulation type of thing where he put your dog through a test. And it seemed like back in the 60s, where during that time you came up, it seemed like people was using dogs more for a purpose back then. As an overall pet.
Yes, because you're eating food from the table too as well. Because back in the day, we didn't buy a whole lot of dog food. There was canned food, not a lot of dry food, and the dogs ate canned food and scraps from the table.
Right.
You better be. My dad was. You better be working.
Too. They had to earn their keep, basically.
Yes, sir.
There wasn't too many towns around where the dogs is rolling in strollers and shit like that, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah. And then you touched on 1968. That's the year I was born.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what's up. But
yes, sir.
So you had any members of your group? Well, yeah, and you had a group, right? It was a group of y'all, right?
Well, not really.
Okay.
The way things started off, when I got into the game, I was open for learning. And in the process, a couple of different people took me under their wing at certain times. So from beginning to end mentor would be the Who Man. And the thing about that was I wanted to be a breeder. He wanted me to know what it was all about in order to become a breeder. So it was like, follow me and learn everything that you need to know. And as time moved forward, his conversation went from him to us. And as time went forward, he stopped talking, and I became the spokesperson. So when I'm speaking tonight, I'm speaking from a perspective, or the third person, if you will, from my mentor. I know him so well. It's like I don't have to even question if I'm saying what's right or what's wrong, or if he approves of what I'm saying. So I'm not just speaking from me. I'm speaking from my mentor, the Who Man.
Didn't he pass on, right?
No, sir. He retired.
Oh, he's still living?
Oh yeah, man, we talk, oh man, every day, man.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, about life. Not just the dogs, about life.
Shout out to the Who Man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. So, but so you said you was you didn't have no group.
Well, what I mean by that is, it started off as him to me, and then later on, my brother, because he was too young back in the day when I started. You know what I'm saying? But he developed the bug early on. In his late teens, early 20s, he made up his mind that he wanted to do something, and it also extended to my son.
I don't mean to interrupt, but he might have said something that might have lost some of my younger listeners when you said the bug, because that's what they used to call it, the fever, the pit bull fever. So you get bit by the bug. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
To the dog. So that was a term they used to use back in the days, the fever. The fever, the bug. You get bit by the bug, you open. You in the dogs, wide open.
Exactly.
Oh, one more thing. Let's plug your book. You got a book out, right?
Yes. The untold story, the greatest untold story of the American Pit Bull Terrier, Part 1. Part 2 is set for January, February of the upcoming year.
Okay, and that's the book that I got on display. It's going to play through the whole video.
Okay,
so,
okay, that's cool.
How they can reach you, or how they can reach you if they're interested in the book?
Dang, I got a new contact number. I'll dig through it as we get to the end of it.
Initially in the comments, if you wanted the book, you could just shout me out, and I'll get right in touch with the doctor and get you.
That'd be great. And I'm on Facebook, and I can respond to somebody. Somebody can messenger me or something, and I can kind of correspond from there too.
True that. Okay. Yeah. So So you were saying about your brother, right? He was younger than you.
Oh yeah. He was too young to do anything. Yeah, because you figure, I graduated 75, and that year I purchased 4 females. Yeah, well, 2 that year and 2 more in the spring, I believe it was. Yeah, of the 76. Because remember now, I don't know nothing about what's really going on. I know that I wanted to be a breeder, and I love dogs, so I knew the dogs were an important part of my life, that I was always going to breed a breed because it's something I wanted to do. So going into it, not knowing anybody, only knowing of the Colby strain and the stories that my cousin had told me about people like Keith and Pookie Davis, which are Michigan legends, because of their great win over Carver's, I want to say Black Shine, but don't hold me to that, but they had a dog called Killer back in the day that did a good 2-hour bid over a Carver dog, a dog that came directly from Carver. And I want to say Black Shine, but again, don't hold me to it.
You remember how the 2 bitches were bred?
What, the first 2 I got?
Yeah.
Oh man, come on now. Heck yeah.
How they were bred?
Okay, the first one was off of a local legendary dog that you may not hear his name, but he deserves a lot of respect. And the dog name is Quillen's Big Mike. Quillen's Big Mike. He was basically a Leitner Kobe with maybe a touch of nibbling in him.
Okay.
And later on, he had a grandson that really was producing. I think he called him Rojo Mike. But Big Mike sired a lot of good dogs, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I remember words. He had raced about 5 times, but it was off the chain kind of speak. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't, like Quillen wasn't into the crowds or anything like that. So he did 5 times off the chain.
Oh, okay. You said something about your grandmother early on too, right? In reference to her getting you involved with the dogs.
Well, yeah, she owned. Okay, my uncle Wesley gave her the pit bull Bullet as a gift, and being good with dogs, she and my youngest uncle trained Bullet. Bullet was meant to be and was used as a security dog.
Oh, okay.
But now here's something funny. Around the corner on Joseph Campo was a white pit bull named Whitey. And in their old age, once a year, my uncle and the guys around the corner, I can't remember their name, and they would hook up and let Bullet and Whitey have a good time in the backyard. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It wasn't a professional circuit or nothing. They knew they had 2 pit bulls, and once a year, the neighborhood would talk crap about who was the best. And the next, because I had moved in with my grandmother in '68. So one day he said, hey man, grab Bullet. Okay, come on. And I'm walking him. You know what I'm saying? We're walking down the alley, and we cut through the yard. He says, now, take his collar off and hold him. Up there. I'm like, okay. And I see a crowd of people, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And the next thing I know, I'm looking at this white pit, and they are actually screaming at each other, and he just hollered, let him go. And I jumped back, and
that was actually your first interaction with him,
Yeah, exactly. And man, listen, man, my eyes were like in awe, and I noticed that speed was important. Whitey was a little stronger, but Bullet was faster. And I saw that, that speed. He's beating him to the punch. And so, things just marinated and registered in my eye. You know what I'm saying? Like, bam.
Yeah. Did any of them show any mouth?
Say it one more time.
Did any of them show any mouth?
They were older. They were older, but they were handling their business. Their teeth wasn't up to par. I would imagine that both of them were like 6 and 7 years old at the time, But
and they done went into each other numerous times up until
right. Once a year, it was their thing. And what it was too is that
festival, huh?
Yeah, my grandmother didn't want that to happen, so my uncle had to be smooth and only do it, like once a year and clean them up really good and what have you, and try to keep them out of my grandmother's sight for a couple of days.
They keep any win-loss stats on who won the most.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just, like I said, man, I was in amazement, like, wow, look at this. So yeah, that was the beginning of developing an eye. Now,
what part of the country that was in?
Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah. It was in Detroit, man. And further, like I said, remember now, my father, had it to where as if a dog couldn't stand up and show that he can be protective, I couldn't have it. So while I'm living with my grandmother, and my mother's looking for a house. Um, there was a lady down the street who had a mixed Rottweiler puppy, and I wanted one, you know. So I agreed to pay the price. She told me that when I purchased the puppy, I had to stand on the side of the house because the lady wouldn't sell a black young man or a black person one of the dogs. And so, you know, we paid the money, you know, and I gave it to her. I followed her, and, you know, it seemed like it took a long time. I'm like, I hope this lady stole my money, you know, but, you know, I saw her in front of her house, so I know where she stayed at. And my mother, you know, well, I stay down the street, but you know how the mind works when you're young, like, what's taking her so long? I was just anxious. I believe it's more so I was anxious. Yeah, and so I got this dog, and I named him Champ. So now, Champ grew up with Bullet. Listen to me. And in the neighborhood, we would all get together and we would show our puppies off. You know what I'm saying? And this Champ turned out to be something spectacular. For you know, and proof of it is a couple guys years and years and years later got into the dogs from the neighborhood, like Big Ralph, and there was another guy I was real cool with. I want to say his name is Kenny, but it kind of sounds right, don't sound right. But they were, you know, either heard of or saw this dog named Champ because this mixed breed that looked like a doe kind of Rottweiler combination, weighed about 45, 50 pounds. He incorporated the pit bull cry.
Oh, okay.
He would see something and just scream and cry. People like, what do you want to do? I said, I'll show you. And I would cut him loose, and there's no question he would go and handle his business. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I told somebody before, you know, when they never heard a pit bull with that scream like that, and I was trying to tell them, he said, like, they listening to the bark, and it's like, nah, they're not trying to fear. They're not trying to put a bark is more like a fear tactic. They're not right. They just screaming out of anticipation how bad they want to get over and release some of that energy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And this dog would do it. He had it.
It's not trying to intimidate you.
Exactly. No, hey, it was to let you know I'm coming. You know, because Champ was letting you know, oh, I'm coming, and we ain't gonna. And there wasn't no talking either. You know what I'm saying? He went for business, man.
The train is blowing the horn. He ain't stopping. He just
no, sir. Listen. A dog could bark at him, and he would look at me, and it could be, I'm young, man, and it could be over the gate, and I'd say, go handle your business. He jumped the gate and he handling his business. Yeah. You know, let me just say this one more thing. I don't want to waste a lot of time on this. This damn dog was so smart that some Saturday mornings, I had a group of guys that would come through, you know, once a month, twice a month. On a Saturday morning, 8 or 9 o'clock, after I finished all my chores, I would walk Champ from maybe 9 to 3 o'clock, and we're taking all challengers that we see. This dog, to see a dog a half a block away and do a military crawl, I didn't teach him that. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. He would military crawl, stop, stand up to see how far, get back down, crawl all the way until he got up to the dog. And I'm behind. Sometimes I got to try and catch up. And he would sidestep him. Listen to this, man. He would put one foot on him. And he's kind of growling a little bit like, I'm about to handle you, but he's waiting on me. You know what I'm saying? And by that time I get there, I could do one or two things. Stomp my feet, clap my hands, or say, get him. And he used that foot to measure where they were. Because what he was trying to do was, and I've never seen a dog do this too much, he was trying to get behind them and act like he was mounting them, but he would lock his both legs up under their waist so they couldn't run from him, and he would play with them really, really, really seriously.
So
And
the military crawl you describe is like is when they on their bellies, like crawling like that.
yes, how they teach him to go under certain
Right.
things. He
Barbed
did it
wires and stuff like that.
naturally. Yeah,
So,
he
but
did it naturally.
you don't think that go back to the dog's hunting instinct like that? Because that's
I
kind
do.
of
I do.
yeah. That's
Yes,
how some
I do.
dogs get low when they stalking they prey and out in the wild.
Exactly. Exactly. Like a lion and
Yeah,
tiger and things.
exactly.
He would do the same thing, man. So
Yeah,
yeah, I just want to give him his props, man, because he too helped me to develop my eye. Because I'm watching. You know what I'm saying? And learning. So and watching people boxing back in the day. My father he boxed, and his younger brother was a pro. He fought in the '68 Olympics with I'm trying to think. Well, who was back in the '68? A big heavyweight. Who's a heavyweight? I want to say Foreman.
okay.
Yep. And I know that he trained with the great Alvin Blue Lewis too. So just watching people and watching dogs, it just kind of helped my eye. You understand what I'm saying? But not only did my father make the dog stand his ground, he would bet money. When all the young guys were together, he placed money. On us wrestling. Whoever was the best wrestler would get a couple dollars.
Okay.
Free fall. Y'all match up, and or actually it wound up being two. The winner and the runner up would wind up getting a little bit of money. Because he wanted to, he wanted to see that the boys were tough. He wanted his son tough. So I learned to wrestle early on.
That's what female dogs sit around and watch their little pups, go at each other to help build their sharpness if they was going in the wild. So your father was just letting y'all build your sharpness.
Exactly.
You never know when you're gonna need it, so you better start learning early because it's going.
Hey man, it came in handy. It came in handy.
Definitely. So let's what was your first dog you had? The first your first good dog that you could really.
The first pit is my first girl, and that was Golden Lady. Again, she was off of Collins Big Mike, and her mother was Cinder Sifter, which was a pure Niblet and Klaus dog. So basically, I had a Klaus Niblet Leichner dog that was just. She had all the attributes of a boy dog. Let me say it like that. She had all the strength and everything of a boy dog, and that was my.
So the other one, remember, because I remember you said you got two. The other one didn't make it out.
Oh yeah. The next one was a daughter of Grand Champion Art. And say it one more time.
A direct daughter of Art.
Oh yeah, direct daughter of Grand Champion Art, a legitimate to Thrift Champion Bumper, and the mother was Bunce's Ruby, who was a Klaus, a little bit of Niblet Leichner based dog. So some kind of way, this Klaus stuff is coming to me. There's a little bit of attentively old family with a little bit of Leichner, and Sunshine wound up being a very good one. My mentor, kind of did his thing with her. 18 minutes back in the day against George Moody and Big Brian of Bear Brian, Detroit. So she turned out to be an excellent female.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and for stud dogs, what you look for in a stud when
Well, okay, here goes. I'm looking for traits that work well for me. Back in the day, we didn't care about how a dog looked. And a lot of times, the ones that looked kind of funny would wind up being much better dogs than what you thought. However, as I got older and more into the dogs, there were some things that I did not like. I don't like stupid puppy, which is okay, meaning that not smart enough for me. Not saying it's a retard, but I like a very smart thinking dog. And so when I normally keep a male pup, it's going to be a pretty, in my opinion, adaptable, smart pup. Um, I like speed and I like ability. So I'm looking at that. But as I get further into my breeding program, I wind up doing something that I is really phenomenal when you think about it, because I had like three traits that I was breeding separately for a while. Like, okay, I'm at Ozzie Stevens' place, and I hear them talking about Jeep. I'm right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're talking about him and don't know a lot about him until I see some things on him, and they're talking about Angus, Grand Champion Angus. And as I'm watching and listening, because, hey, I'm trying to learn, I'm kind of noticing that the conversation is swaying away from Angus. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, Angus must be something else. And it kind of went more toward Jeep. So I'm there, and there happened to be a race, a long 2-hour race that night. And it really fascinated me. I liked it. I'm like, wow. And then when Jeep and Homer did their thing, 3 hours and 45 minutes, it further made me like and love that type of dog. So here's the three things I had. I would try to find what I call the long distance dogs, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. I even have a 5-year-old Michigan dog in my pet. His name will come to me. 5 hours and 36 minutes. Dre. They call him Dre. Dr. Dre. And I just started buying dogs from these long distance dogs because I was fascinated. Gameness. If everything is about gameness and I'm going to be a breeder, then I wanted extreme gameness. In the day, the Who Man, he showed, I want to say 3 minimum, but he had showed 5 dead game dogs, and he bred them before he showed them, and I got a chance to get a pup off of that. So I got fascinated with it. So on the other hand were the fast and talented ones. Oh, I just love fast and just athletic. I just love athletic dogs, whether it be Dobermans, Cane Corsos. I just like athletic dogs. And the other family or traits, ones I was breeding, were kind of mouthy. And for a long time, I was breeding these 3 different traits together, and things got so good that with him and I, the Who Man and I, as he started letting me make decisions on all the breedings. So it's like he was waiting for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, he found someone he can groom to make decisions. And I started breeding these different traits into each other. I started taking the long distance into the intelligent ones, and the intelligent ones into the mouthy ones, without even studying the pet, because I'm just looking at the characteristics and the traits. So what happens after you breed for a long time and you're working with a family that you can start doing things and you don't have to go back and study the pet. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, well, let's go. You just do it because you feel it's right. And that's what kind of point I had reached back in the day, where I was working with all those 3 separate traits at separate times. Because a lot of people just breed them together because you got it, but I didn't want to. I wanted to keep, them separated because I wanted to study this. And in so doing, in my lifetime, I think I probably raised just over 100 puppies to adulthood in my lifetime.
Okay.
Because I wanted to understand. I wanted to learn.
That takes a lot of patience, because a lot of people ain't got patience to raise no pups. I love raising pups.
Yeah, so do I. So do I.
What about Who Man in reference to when you got started with the dog? Your mentor. How long was he into the dogs before you got? How many years? Did he say?
Probably 3 or 4 years.
Oh, before you?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it wasn't.
But he was knowledgeable, because knowledge was plentiful back in the day. All you had to do was show an interest and an open mind to listen. And the old schools, the old heads, they would show you back in the day. Such people as Westside Pete, Old Man Pete. He was just an open book, and the type of guy that would, hey, if you show the interest, he's gonna allow you to watch, to groom you, to talk to you, to you can read one of his books and whatever, and talk pedigrees. He was just like that. And so there were guys like that back in the day who were kind of open. Jimmy Jones was another one. He was cool and open. And there were some others, that were just cool old school guys. All they had to know that you were serious.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So also in reference to studs, right? Like if you see a good performer and you see something you like, would you go directly to him, or would you rather go to what made him?
Okay, here we go. So we're talking breeding now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now before we go any further, let me state for the record, as I am going into my retirement, I started the phase of my retirement, and my retirement will be complete next year, as I'm finding some people to take over what I've done. However, I'm in my 18th generation of breeding.
Okay, congratulations.
No, this is that bad. 18 generations, man. You know what I'm saying? So watch this. Are you ready?
Let's go.
When I see a dog, I want to know, and I'm looking at what is his strongest attributes. Okay. Now, does his attributes that he's demonstrating, is it commonplace for the breeding? Because it could be good attributes, but it doesn't have to follow what it says he should be according to his breeding. Next, I'm going to look at his siblings. I'll try to find out anything about his siblings or his cousins and uncles and aunties. Right. And I'm looking at that. You know what I'm saying? And
not to cut you off, right?
Okay.
That was one of the things, like the periodicals back in the days kept you in tune with, because you might not, you're from Detroit, but there's blood that you're looking for maybe going down in Texas, and you could get a chance to see everything, you know what I'm saying, compiled up, and notice, like you said, the uncles, the siblings, everything. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And since we had the Sporting Dog Journal back in the day,
right,
and bloodlines were a little informative, because you can catch things, and people were so cool. If they know you were cool, they would share information with you, when you call. So keeping up with everything through the journal and seeing who's doing what,
right,
and now looking at it, you got to make a decision. Now, here goes. When it comes to breeding, most dogs do not produce themselves. And I'll state it for the record. Most dogs, it's such a high percentage, I can say that dogs don't produce themselves. That's how high it is. In the 90s, they produce their parents and a smaller, their parents and their grandparents, not just the parents, you know what I'm saying? Parents, grandparents, blah, blah, blah. And a small percentage of them, now watch me now, produce their siblings. So now, if you know the siblings, okay, this is what helped me out a lot. I can make a breeding, and I can see, whereas this puppy isn't going toward the daddy. Wait a minute, he's just like his brother or his sister. Oh, then I know where I'm going to place you at later on. cool. I see. I got that there. So yeah, I put all those things together. I look at it, and I do understand that dogs don't produce themselves, and that's the problem that people realize now. Uh, you can go to the parent who produces good dog, which is a wise thing, but it's also good to know which way the dog is producing. Is he producing more of his daddy? Is he producing more of his mama? Is he producing more of his siblings? Or is it a blend? And when you make a breeding, what people don't realize is the female is a carrier. And what I mean by that is, let me go back one more time. In my three categories in which I collected dogs on, I also always need to see and have good females that in the breeding of a dog that I wanted to breed to as a stud, or I wanted to buy a puppy from. Yeah, I want that male to be good, but that carrier is that female. And when you have a good breeding with solid females, it tends to increase your percentages of good puppies from that, right. Because the female is a carrier. She's like black pepper. Black pepper is a carrier for whatever seasonings you're using. It's a carrier. And so the females are a carrier. And I always wanted to, and I made sure that I had good females in my breeding program.
Right.
Really great females, but we'll just say the word good.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why I fell in love with Andre Guru's Champion Sunday, because she was one of those females and she was great.
And
what I'm saying?
Let's talk about Sunday, Andre. Well, she came from Ralph Greenwood, right? Champion Our Girl Sunday, right?
Yeah, she did. I believe she was off of Davis.
Right, Maloney's Davis, right?
Right. And Davis was off of Toot, some Tula breeding.
And Toot was a really hard mouthy dog.
Two-timer. He was a two-timer.
Now, when they talk about hard-mouthed dogs, you hear a lot of, dogs. Sunday name don't come up about a lot. What you think about her mouth, as far as her mouth in the mouth department?
Well, okay. So, as I got a chance to get to know Andre Guru, he would always invite me. Come on, bring something up here. Let me kill it for you. Andre.
And when he say up there, he's referring to Canada, right?
Yes. I'm like, well, why would I bring something that you kill it? I want to keep what I got. Let me get some of your killing breeding there. And he would wind up laughing. He said, you know what? You're the first person to say that to me. So as time went on, he and I developed a really good rapport. And I think he caught my sincereness, my dedication, my willingness to listen, learn, and grow. And so in doing that, let me go back. I saw the great Marvell that came down, that Pete had from Andre, and Marvell had went into Red Danger, and he ran past him. Then there was a dog called Pete. Now, here we go. Pete was off of one of Andre's. He was a road dog. His name was Unique. And as I'm talking, remember, I have a fascination for 2-hour dogs. It's just something that just happened. I just love 2-hour dogs. I have a theory I'll share later, but back then, it was like, I just love it. So as I'm talking to Andre, he's like, yeah, Unique did this, and he's, I always use him as a second dog, whatever. And then he wound up doing him, and then Unique did 2 hours. I'm like, oh, I want something coming down from Unique. So anyway, I did wind up with that. But getting back to on Sunday, Andre would invite me, and say, okay, man, let me kill one of your dogs for you. I said, well, who are you gonna kill my dogs with, man? And the two he was talking about the most was Gunner Jr. and Sunday. So as I'm studying her pedigree, Remember now, I love good females.
Right.
Her daddy, Davis, wasn't a crusher. He wasn't a tremendous mouth, but he was off of a tremendous mouth, but he produced a tremendous mouth.
Right. Right.
See how that happened?
Right. Right.
So then, yes. So he didn't produce himself with Sunday. He produced two in the female. See? And so, which further proves my theory that dogs do not produce themselves. They produce their parents, grandparents, and a small percentage of it goes toward the left and right, which are siblings. So
listen to the doc. Listen to the doc.
So he and I got real cool, and one day he was bragging, right? And he's like, I told you. I said, what, man? He said, I sent Sunday to Ralph Greenwood. And I'm like, yeah? He said, well, what happened? And all he could do was say, shit. Sunday is the greatest dog of all times. And so me being curious, and he's like a mentor of mine, I called Ralph Greenwood personally. Right? So, say, hey, man, Andre told me about you and blah, blah, blah. And he told me he sent you Sunday. And so he knew I was cool. I just had to clear the ice, And he was just bragging to me, and he told me to call you so you could tell me. And so he knew I had to know because this is between him and Andre. So as we're talking, and this is something I want to say before then, because here's a lesson I learned. He said, yeah. I sent Sunday to him as a pup, and I didn't think she would turn out to be as great as she was. And Andre sends me a puppy or two every time he breeds her. And I'm like, well, did he owe you? He said, no. He just did it out of love and respect. I just wanted to mention that because if I ever got something from somebody that was really good, I believe in what Andre did. It taught me something. See, again, he's a mentor, and you take in the good from people who mentor you. You understand what I'm saying? And the fact that he wasn't greedy having this great female, and he would send this man puppies, and he didn't even know they were at the airport. He would call him, hey, man, you got a puppy at the airport off of Sunday.
Ralph would send that to...
No, Andre would send it to Ralph Greenwood because he was grateful of getting a dog like Sunday.
Got you.
Which it kind of taught me something. So now let's get on down to what happened. So as we're talking, Sunday blew through the first one with a KO in short order. She blew through the second one in short order with a KO. Now, this is so long ago, either the third one or the second one was a male. So I'm going to say the third one because I know for sure two males were added. She destroyed the third one, which was a male, and the fourth male was picked up.
And these were all contracted matches?
No, this was in the yard of Ralph Greenwood because Andre said, I want to prove to you what I've been telling you. It's just like you sell somebody something and they say, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen since cotton candy. Oh, man, thank you. No, I'm trying to tell you, it's the greatest thing. And this is the way Andre was. I'm telling you, nothing can beat Sunday. And Ralph would be like, yeah, okay, that's good. I'm glad you like her. And Andre just sent her there. Didn't even tell Ralph that it was coming. And told him, do not send her back until you check her out.
Wow.
So that was him proving to Ralph Greenwood what Sunday was about. And she KO'd two for sure, destroyed the third one, or KO'd that one, and made the fourth one pick up.
Well, and speaking on Andre, I heard from what I consider a reliable source that just a little bit about his personality, that he used to have to sneak in the States. You know about that?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. All right.
yeah. Andre was feisty, man. And he didn't hold back his tongue. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yeah. Now, there's something I want to say. This is gonna end the great debate. Um, it was established and known that Andre never won in the States.
Okay.
He would lose game and everything,
Oh,
but
okay. Well, not to cut you off. So, what about the dog he had when he went into the Petronellis? Right. He had the Sue. This Petronellis, was it Sue Boy? And Andre came down with a dog, and Sue Boy was supposed to have been like a two-time winning Zebo type of destroyer dog back then. I think this was even before. This was even before Zebo.
okay.
And Andre came down with some dog. I was just wondering because when you said he never won in the States, I was just wondering, are you familiar with that match and where that took place? Because I know.
Well, you know what? All I know is that he wound up with some of the Petronelli Slew blood.
Yeah, he beat it. He beat the dog that had Sue Boy. Yeah, he beat Sue.
Right. But I don't know if it was in the States or not. You know what I'm saying? I'm not too familiar with that event.
Because I know they from up in the Boston. They were from the Boston area.
Right. I'm familiar with them. I'm familiar with the dog and them, but I can't remember if it was in the state because I remember a couple people saying back in the day that he never won in the States, and so they were like kind of frowning at him. But the key is to show you what type of blood he has. Other people have taken his dogs and won in the state. So even if he did or didn't, let's say he didn't win or he only won one, and he couldn't win in the states. It wasn't that his blood wasn't capable. It just may have meant that he went into the better dogs in that day. However, his blood came down and did miraculous things. Like the Booger dog came down and produced. Marvell 1-2, Nick 1-2, Penny 1-1, and she was picked up game. Brutus did good from Hank and Sunday, 1-1, and then he went into the grand champion. What's my man name with the little black male? One of the hardest biting dogs ever. Bill Struthers, champion. Luther. Yeah. So his blood can and did win. Irregardless, if he didn't, it didn't mean that his blood wasn't capable. That's the point I'm making. So yeah, I heard, one or two guys say, man, Andre, yeah, he couldn't. But here's what Andre always told me. You kick ass at home first. You make it clear to everybody at home who you are, and then you go outside of home. So Andre kicked ass at home. How about that?
Then you take your show on the road, huh?
Exactly. He wanted to make it clear to everybody in Canada, don't you step to me.
He lived in an apartment building, I heard one time.
Yeah, he did. And he had I don't know if it was his or he rented a
no, I think he had
barn.
Too. I think he owned the apartment building from what I heard.
Okay. And there was a barn that he, with a little acre or something that he kept his dogs at, so I don't know if it was his or relatives or whatever the case was, but yeah, he stayed in the apartment and he raised pigeons also. A lot of people didn't know that.
Right. Okay. The racing,
yeah.
Right? The racing ones, right? Homing pigeons, I think it was.
Yeah.
When he retired with the dogs, that's when he retired into the pigeons, right?
Exactly. But he was never all the way out. You know what I'm saying? He, even till he died, he still had a couple things like Champion Rocky, because Ralph Greenwood wouldn't paid, I think, $15,000 for Rocky back in the day. That was was that the 80s?
Yeah, that's it. I'm right there.
Yeah, when you and a person like Ralph Greenwood knows what a dog is worth. He offered Miss Guru $15,000 for Champion Rocky, which is Sunday's grandson, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, off a trip. And
what style was he? He looked like a big. It looked like he was mixed with something. the photo. He looked real big and like,
Well, he wasn't a really big dog. He was a big boned dog because, back in those days, some of them Tudor dogs, were real thick boned.
Right.
And so, and then when you cross it with a little bit of Corvinio blood coming through the Teddy, they were kind of thick boned dogs. They weren't. It was only later that some of those Corvinio dogs had thinner legs and stuff, but some of that original stock, like Braddock the Sailor and all that stuff, they were thicker. Even Teddy, short, thick boned kind of dog. So no, he was just a thick dog with a nice head that was a beast.
Right.
He was a beast.
You're already done on like your favorite style of dogs because you like speed, and right, you're a speedy. You like the speed,
ability. Good thinking. But here's the key: I like anything that's good, but as a preference, I like speed and ability, and a good thinking mind. You know what I'm saying? That's my preference, but I've owned a little bit of it all in my time. Yeah. And if it's good, it's good. Ain't nothing I can say. If it's a good dog, it's a good dog. But in terms of what a male, a preference male that I may breed of mine, I like ability. But if it's, let's say this is the only one I got left, and he's not as agile or as smart, but he's a good dog, I'm still going to breed him.
Right.
I'm not going to say, well, no, I'm going to throw this away, even though he's the only one. I'm going to be like, yep, let's do it, because genetically, it depends on what I put under you. Like, what am I trying to bring out in the breeding? And that's what really we're supposed to be looking at. Of course, we know that the pit bull is famous for its gameness, his ability to stay in a battle, whether it be with a beast or man or whatever it is, during the hardest of times. That is what I admire about the pit bull. And we should be like pit bulls in life, because life will beat us down. And we have to remain diligent in our pursuit of happiness and love, So we got to learn to fight. So they're a good example. Not fighting, you don't have to fight them, but,
the mental aspect of it, like just from the mental.
Yes.
What you're saying, because when you're going through something, you got to think like a game dog, almost somewhat feel like a game dog. So.
Exactly. I will not quit. How do a person defeat cancer? Because most of the people who defeat cancer, they don't have the mindset, well, I'm going to pray on it and I hope that I get better. I don't know if I can beat this. But the winners be like, oh, I'm going to beat this.
But on the flip side of that, either way you look at it, you can still have a winning attitude and still wind up losing to it, so then you just go out dead game.
There you go. But it is better to go out game, right, because you have a better chance of winning when you're in the fight. But when you give up the fight, all is lost. You already lost to give up.
And that ain't just cancer. That's like in all illness, even in whatever, just something.
Exactly.
That pocket.
Yes. Education, whatever it is, we must be diligent and game in our lives. We got to be, listen, man, for real, being a black man in America, you got to be game and want to live, because the things that we have to endure will make a lot of people want to give up, man. A lot of brothers give up because the pressure's so great. Employment, being able to take care of a family, being able to grow, finding adequate living quarters where you come, man, listen, man, it's a struggle. So we have to be game in life.
Like you said, take care of family, and one of the things is that even if you got to look for work, you might have to work 2 and 3 jobs. You got to stay game. You got to limp to the next one and limp to the next one.
Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? Oh, they fired you? Oh, well, I'm calling jobs today. Why not wait till tomorrow? Nope, I'm calling today. That's gameness. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm going to get another job tomorrow because I'm calling today. That's the kind of mindset that we need in life. So the pit bull is a perfect example of determination. tenacity. You know what I'm saying? And that is what I love about the pit bull, not the fact that it fights. People don't have to fight these dogs. They're so diverse. Man, listen, man, they're so diverse and and training in different things and show confirmation shows, weight pulling, jumping, and you got
and they look so good doing it too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And back in the day, in the 70s, the panda dog, she broke records on Schitzen training. You know, obedience and attack and all that stuff.
You said
she ranked very high.
We said panther.
No, I think it was Panda, Panda. One of the highest ranking dogs to do that. Now, watch this, man. Back in the day, she was the highly most decorated dogs in the U.S. military with pit bulls.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. Yeah.
Okay. And so they weren't in the military fighting. They were marching and fighting with their troop or the particular owner that owned them, you know. And then when it came to, you know, because I'm trying to actually clear something up for the people that listen. We all grew up with the Little Rascals, the Pete or Petey as they wanted to call them, Dog and the Little Rascals. What most people don't know, Petey's daddy was a fighting champion, but just because a dog fight, don't mean it can't be converted or that it only produced fighting dogs, because Petey wasn't a fighting dog. He was a smart, trained dog that came from Tudor's Blackjack. One of them, I don't know, it was Blackjack Junior, Blackjack 2, whichever it was, but his daddy was a fighting champion.
But see, it made all the sense then because people was more selective about their breeding, so they only put those fighting qualities, and they came out. That's why, to me, in my opinion, that's why Pete was so docile towards the kids and people in general, because now, I've never seen them have Pete in the room with another dog, though. So
of course not. Of course not. That wasn't in the script.
That wasn't in the script. So we don't know how the Pete would act when we react to that. But the full definition of a pit bull is like supposed to be, you know, more docile around people.
Exactly. Exactly.
I don't really think they bred them for protection. They used them for what they was breeding for. They, you know. But
exactly.
Had a bunch of breeders moving forward from back then to now, who just breeding dogs together. They don't got no real purpose. And to me, that's where all the, you know, the man biting stuff comes from.
Yeah, yeah. Well, see, and a lot of the man biters are not from game dogs. You know, if you do the research, most of the, you know, is the alley bred, the garbage bred, the non-game stock that produces these, and sometimes they interject some blues or some bullies or whatever into it and get these colossal, mean, big man biters. But the game stock are lovable, true blue dogs as a whole. Now, I'm not saying that all of them are, because I knew dogs like Zebo was a man eater, but most of the game stock are very loving people dogs.
Right.
You know, they love people, they love children, and they will protect the house because they're still great protectors.
Right.
You know, so I say that to say to people that may listen to this interview that the pit bull is one of the most docile and versatile dogs. And look it up. Two of the most honored dogs in the military. I can't remember one of them name, but they call him Sergeant somebody, and he lost a leg in the military. And so, you know, the military had him, and then the pit bull used to represent the military as a pitcher back in the day, you know, before the Buster Brown shoes and everything, because, you know, the flag circling the pit bull, because it was saying that the United States is a game country, and when they go to war, they won't quit until the war is won. You know, that's what that symbolism meant, and the pit bull was one of the symbols of America, you know, like the eagle. The eagle's supposed to fly high and the highest flying bird and blah, 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 and separate itself from the other birds because it don't want to be bothered, that type of thing.
And I'm glad you touched on that topic to add on to, you know, to it. This interview is just for historical purposes only. So
exactly.
I'm not telling you to go out there and try your dog. You know, people like to listen to this stuff. I'm fascinated by listening to it. Just like you may go to somebody's channel, they may talk about slavery stuff, but do they own slaves? That's when you break the law. So
exactly.
Listen to slavery. You could talk about it all you want, But until you start owning them, that's when you know. So that's what this channel is about. People got a fascination for this stuff, and it's not breaking the law. So with that being said, let's keep it going, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's important, man. You know what I'm saying? Because, there is a history, and I'm privy to understanding and knowing and having been taught some of the history. But again, there's so many people doing so many positive things with these dogs, man. It's amazing. But yeah. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, man. So what's some of the dogs that came off your yard that you put in good Dogman hands? You have a lot, being that you said you raised like over 100 puppies, because I know you had to get them out there in good hands.
Well, here goes. For many years, I didn't let myself go. Right. I just started letting things go maybe 4 years. I'm trying to think, 5 years ago. And a few people got my blood, and I was so protective of it that I would sell things on a discount, but the discount had an agreement. And the agreement was that you come back to me to breed the dog. If you got a male, I got a female to go with it one time, and then everything is yours. I'm going to give you a deal. I'm going to keep the papers, and when it's time to breed it the first time, when you're ready, or, when I'm ready, you breed it to me. Everything's good. You get your paperwork. I ain't going to charge you nothing extra. And that was the deal I made with a few people because I didn't want it out there. And if they got something I really liked, and which I did, I wanted something from it. There's nothing wrong with that. I wanted something from it. And I will say that 90-something% of the people changed their minds and did something different. And then looked at me to get their papers back. I said, man, you broke the deal, man. Ain't no more deal. Do what you do. Go ahead and say it like you want to do, like everybody else do. Put whatever papers you want to put on it. You know what I'm saying?
The contract is void after that, huh?
Exactly. Because if we have an agreement, you broke it, the agreement is over. It's not in void. I'll just keep it moving. We're not going to fall out about it. You have the right to change your mind, and I have the right to step away from you. Now, with that being said, there was a champion called Two-Face that I sold, and I sold him with a very good deal. And, I don't like super crazy puppies. And I had one, Two-Face. Ooh, this young man, ooh, whew. I was like, man, you're a little crazy. I'm going to sell him, And I sold him to a guy very reasonable. And I told him everything about the puppy. Listen, I think he's going to be outstanding, XYZ, XYZ. You do whatever you do. You give me a puppy out of him when you breed him. I got the papers. I'm going to hold him. You do it. Two-Face made champion. They changed his name to something. It didn't matter. I wrote the guys one time, say, man, just, make good on your deal and come and get the real papers. They never did it. There was a female called Monkey. There was a little confusion on it. There was a guy that I liked that we did a couple of deals back in the day. And she was another one that was, developing to be a little crazy. I don't like crazy that much, man. I like cool collective, too. And so Monkey was drawn into a kind of a little beast. So I put her in somebody's hand. There's another guy that we know, and now watch this now. Her daddy name was Ugly Monkey, and I called her Monkey. There was a guy that had a puppy stolen. And when he saw a Monkey, he said, man, my puppy was named Monkey that got stolen. Now, wait a minute. If I stole a dog, well, it was another question I did it, but still, if I stole a dog, I am not going to call it by his name.
Right.
Yeah, so anyway, the dude was honest enough to say, man, I can't say that's my puppy, but she looked good. And my man just said, hey, man, look, I think he didn't want any beef or anything. But all I had to do was send him to me. I said, hey, man, here's the paperwork on Monkey. and this is how she bred because there was some of that Zebo stuff coming through. What is this male that I like? Panther, McGee's Panther. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I had some McGee's Panther mixed up with some Virgil, Homer blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, some Homer blood. Ooh, it was real nice. So anyway, she made champion. They put some other papers on it, but she actually come from my breeding.
Yeah, Matt McGee talks how well that Ozzie Stevens blood went with his
Listen, man. Yes, it worked very well. I still have it in my family tree. Let me see. I put Big Herc out there. He made champion. I put champion Nene out there. I put a couple champions, man. I put some champions out there. I put a dog called. Let me say this. I'm really fascinated with this. Again, this is somebody else telling me a story. This is used for entertainment purposes. It wasn't me, but I heard the story. I put a dog in someone's hand. They call him Reggie. This is my Tonka breeding because I fell in love with Tonka through word of Bert Klaus. So
his champion Tonka.
Yes, champion Tonka. So when Bert Klaus told me to my face that Tonka was one of the most finest little male dogs he had ever seen, it was over. You know, here's another guy I got under, and I corresponded a lot with, and he shared secrets with me later on. But he said Tonka was the best. I was looking for Tonka, and then a friend of mine, Krishan, back in the day, good guy, very very smart guy, hooked up with Ronnie Anderson of I think he was in Oklahoma somewhere, and I started calling Ronnie because he had the Tonka stuff. And then Workshop Kennels had a female that was a granddaughter of Tonka, and they bred it to was it a son of Tonka? So I got a chance to get it right there. So it was actually triple Tonka, triple Red Baron. And Red Baron is off of Susan Renee, who's actually Alligator's Little Mate's sister.
That's that's Gary Hammer's stuff too, right?
Yes. So getting that, and it kind of increases. So this male, Reggie, was placed, and the guy. You know how it goes. People cheat you out of puppies, man. I've been cheated so much, man. But I'm dealing with a few good guys, and they have the men of their words. I want to say that. So I come to pick up my puppies, and this is all that lived. I'm like, oh, okay. So I got my pup. It was supposed to have been 3. I got my 2, but I can tell by the wife kept looking at him. I said, "Oh man, she's so obvious." I'm like, "Y'all got more puppies. Y'all hiding in the house." Okay. So anyway, one popped up later, and this Reggie dog had ruined his teeth, and the guy's wife killed him. But he was supposed to have been racing Reggie, and so Reggie remained alone because he had quite a few dogs, maybe about 4 or 5 or 6,
right.
And all of them died except for Reggie. And so when his partners found out, they wouldn't get the dog. Broke in the house, got the dog. So Reggie was the only one to live. Remember now, Reggie's brother Deacon was supposed to actually do the race. But Reggie was smaller with no teeth. He's the only one that made it. The race was a week after he got him, dying. Listen to the dynamics now. Dehydrated, haven't eaten, sucked up, looking like he come from Ethiopia, and the following week he's racing. Right? Hour 57, I believe the race was, and he completed the race a fraction of a second or a fraction of a second before, but you know how sometimes people are, they get excited. But he completed his going across when the time came. Okay, so technically he lost the race. And the guy the partner that picked him up just took him and just let him die, you know, because he had lost the race. But what he did, going uphill 3 to 4 pounds, it may have been 5, because the guy had the dog embalmed, and Reggie had crushed the shoulder bone.
I don't know why would the owner bring him in like that, dehydrated, like looking like that?
Because he wanted to complete the deal, and remember now, I was extremely arrogant in my breeding program. You know, not to the point where I was disrespectful, but I just knew I had the best in the world, and because it came from me, was a part of the reason why it was done like that. Now, I'm just keeping it 100.
Yeah.
And so, So, he did superb, man. He did superb. You know, that was just the quality that I was breeding. You know.
Oh man, I had to pause for a second. I'm sitting there eating an orange.
Okay, that's all right.
It went down wrong.
Yeah. Okay. That happens.
Yeah, man. But that Pepper dog, man, that went in the Queen of Hearts, man. Tell us a little bit about Pepper as a match dog. What you remember about her?
I was at a party, and the Pepper dog was there, and I was talking to my mentor because he's, you know, helping me develop my eye, and I turned to say something to him, and I turned back, and this is like 5 minutes into the race or something like that, and when I turned back, it was over. All I could say, what happened? What? You know, man. They were wrapping it up, man. It was a wrap. You know what I'm saying? They were, you know what I'm saying, wrapping up, putting the collar on and everything. I'm like, what?
You remember how she was bred?
Yeah. Pepper was a son of a really good producer that may never get his respect, but it was a Michigan dog by the name of Champion Rocky II. Sly was a street name, Sly name.
Well,
and
Pepper was a female, right? You said Pepper was a daughter of Rocky, right?
Yes, the daughter of Rocky II.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Or a Sly is what everybody knows him as, Champion Sly. Yep, really good Eli stuff. Thurman's champion. I want to give him his prop too. Thurman's champion.
That's Gene Thurman. What's it?
Yeah, yes. And you know his love and fascination for Eli dogs.
Right. Did he handle Struthers Luther, Grand Champion Luther?
You know, I know Bill did for a lot of them. I don't know, you know, the whole history of the 8. You know, so
they call him Nightmare also.
Who? You're talking about Thurman?
Oh yeah, no, I'm thinking about I'm thinking about somebody else. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah, but the Pepper dog, man, she lost the queen though, right? She lost.
Yes. Because it was just going to be assumed after what she had did that, you know, Queen of Heart would be a piece of cake, but Queen of Heart was an exceptional dog.
So you got a chance to see her go too, huh?
Well, briefly, yes, but no. My mentor was there one day, but I wasn't. So I didn't see her, but I got a chance to see her, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
Technology allowed me to see her.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got that. And actually, too, the owner of Queen of Hearts, he reached out to me a couple months ago, and to clear up the lie or the talk about Buck and Queen of Hearts, and so that's going to be in the upcoming book, because he did reach out to me. We know each other, and he wanted to clear it up.
Right.
He knew that I'm going to put it out there. That's just a given. You give me some positive information, I'm going to make it clear. So I will be putting that report and information that he gave me in the book.
And that's your new one that's coming out in January, right?
January, February, yes.
Okay. How long this one, the first, I guess this will be the first edition that's out now. How long that one's been out?
I think about 4 years. But the goal was to enlighten people and, get to people that I knew. In this particular book, I wanted to give credit to people who deserve credit that would not get credit by any other means. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of people I paid homage to. There's a guy by the name of Big Brian of Detroit, and they call him the Bear. He's a carver lover. Very good, serious, dedicated dog man. There's his uncle or his cousin, I'm not sure, a guy by the name of Ezel. Ezel was a genius, and just a brilliant brother when it came to the dogs. And I had a chance to talk to him, and he was just cool, man. Cool dude. Old man Doucette, Rob Doucette's in there. There's a tribute to the original bounty hunter. Even though he's gotten sensitive in his old age, he had accomplished things that deserved to be talked about. There was the young brother I had a chance to really share a lot of things with, Ram, that owned Champion Flash before he passed. But, just a whole host of a lot of guys, man, that would not have gotten their just due. Big Kenneth, he was the first person to bring down a Milu dog from Andre Garou, one of Andre's favorite. You say Milu, Andre would light up. What you know about Milu? So this book gave credit to a lot of people. Ozzy, I had a lot of conversations with Oscar, or Ozzy as they call him, and I just paid homage to, obviously Andre's going to be in there, but I paid homage to a lot of people, a whole bunch of people. In the process, I am a creative energy, and to me, a lot of things it kind of got boring. And as I study pedigrees, I want to be able to study a pedigree and it tell me more than what the pedigrees tell me. So I created additional titles. And I'm just going to be brief, but the book details titles because we got to upgrade. Anytime, it's like, baseball changed some rules and football changed some rules the last, I don't know how many years, maybe 5 years ago, 40, whatever.
I see exactly what you're saying.
So we have
you're basically evolving.
Yes. And if we don't, we're defeating our own purpose. So when I look at a pet,
no more rotary phones,
Exactly.
No more phone booths.
There you go. So now, one of the greatest things I wanted to do was give credit to past great dogs. See, a lot of dogs may have deserved to be in the Hall of Fame, but for some reason, political, whatever, they didn't. And so I hooked up with a group And man, my mind's moving fast because I don't want to lose my thought. But scientific studies, and they, with my ideas, came up with a concept and allowing people to turn in dogs that can be recognized and be considered dogs of the year. So some of the old dogs back in the day that deserve it, that may not have gotten it, like Struthers Luther. No, I think Luther did make dog of the year. No, but they don't say it about him. So I don't think.
I think he made the cover of the Sporting Dog Journal.
He did, but they didn't give him dog of the year, though. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So he deserved it.
Luther was something serious, boy, from what I heard.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You ever see him go?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So in this book, I recognize dogs and give them their just due. I recognize Dogman of the year. That guys like Big Ralph, who had humble beginnings in Detroit. There is original bounty hunter who had original beginnings in Detroit, who expound and grew and did accomplish some things, who made Dogman of the year. That's an accomplishment, but people shouldn't wait till a person's dead to talk about how great they was, like my man McCoo, who just died. It should be that. So now let me cover some of the titles. Excuse me, I don't want to be lengthy. So here we go. I study champions a lot. And if I'm able to look at a champion and tell some things, it helps me to know if that was the family that I wanted to go to. But I already had these titles in my mind, and so it helped me to decide what I wanted. So let me say the first thing. There's a thing that's called the Devastator. So you have a lot of champions, but you can't necessarily tell what type of champion a champion is. So now what a Devastator is, it is a champion who can combine three races, or it could be a grand champion. He can combine, or she can combine, three races to equal an hour and 30 minutes or less. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you got to figure, by the time that someone goes for the second, someone kind of know about you, it's going to be harder. And definitely when you go for your championship, someone knows what they're going against, it should be harder. Well, so now, if you can pull off...
Not to cut you off, but
go ahead.
Remember the movie Game of Death? I know you remember, you're a karate guy, so you remember Game of Death with Bruce Lee when he had to go up the stairs and...
Oh, yeah, for sure, man, for sure.
You talk about
and that Kareem Abdul was at the... yeah.
So each level get harder and harder, you're saying. I get
Exactly.
That sounds similar.
Yes. And so if you can look at a dog and say, oh, he's a Devastator, that's telling you that 9 times out of 10, his mouth was above average. Because just because you're a champion don't mean that you're mouthy. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So the next one is title is a champion of champions. Now, what is a champion of champions? If I look at the record of a champion and he's never faced a champion, I got to think, who did he go? Who did he really compete against? But if a champion has outraced another champion, that brings a higher credential to him and his ability, because how can you say something bad against this dog when he did at least go against one champion?
Right.
Like True Colors grand champion Dynamite. I think Dynamite went up against 2 champions. So even if, and he has one of the shortest wins, I think he had like a 7-minute win, even if one of them wasn't all that, you have to look at it. The competition was good, and then within it, he defeated 2 champions. How can you down a dog that has actually gone up against 2 champions? So a champion can be a devastator. 3 races not going over an hour and 30 minutes, which means that, what I'm saying, his average time is 40 minutes or 35 minutes or whatever it is giving you an idea. He's consistent at what he's doing. Right. Now, if a dog is a COC, which is champion to champion, you know that he has raced against a champion. Now, there's another title, and it's called the champion of champion triple crown. I think the highest honor of any champion is to beat 3 champions. You defeat 3 champions in races, and you a triple crown. To me, that's greater than a 8 or 10 timer. Like Grand Champion Tornado, double Grand Champion Tornado, which is a great title, but to be a triple crown champion says something about you, that you have raced against 3 opposing champions and you won. That's a very, very, very beautiful feat, because that means that the owner was looking for the best competition he can find. And in so doing, the dog became a champion. So, triple crown. Now, I just want to mention one more because there's some titles in there, but I'm just giving you an idea. But these things help you to identify a dog. Now, just as a devastator is an hour and 30 minutes, any champion who 3 races equals out to 5 hours or more, that's saying something too. That's like, you're racing for 5 hours, that's some time. So that's right. Called the long distance champion, the LDC, because I like that. And as I was breeding, I like that. I'm looking like, what, you got 7 hours, 8 hours of time in? You know what I'm saying? So, hey, you know what I'm saying? So to get that.
Thinking, look, you got me thinking of names now. But you know what? What I find odd, though, is one, well, you didn't give me all of them, but I just find odd that I just knew it was going to come out your mouth with your background. A grandmaster.
No. I try to make them fitting for people so they get it. But, yeah, that's just another title that deserves recognition, because every dog can't race 5 hours. They can't do it.
Right.
'Cause that's like, Duracell, durable body. You gotta. It's a lot. Let me say it like that. It's a lot.
And every race up until like the championships, whether it's 3, it takes something out of the dog too.
Exactly. It's just like a boxer, or MMA fighter. These things they take something out of you, man. It takes to compete in a physical contest, wrestling, boxing, judo, MMA, even football. You know what I'm saying? Right. It takes something out of you, man. Yeah. Getting hit on the field, developing arthritis, playing in the cold weather with your hands, you know what I'm saying? Developing arthritis in your hands, man. Yeah, man. There's a price to pay to be a warrior.
Paul Earl Campbell, boy, I tell you, boy.
Hey, man. You feel me?
Yeah, definitely. Watching Earl Campbell, boy, but God damn, what happened to my boy?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So, yeah, so the book is beautiful, man, and it was just meant to be an inspiring dedication, insightful, book to deal with issues. And, I do cover issues like I recorded the best of memory of the 1978-79 Michigan raid. I go in depth into how it happened, and some of the hidden details, because you learn from the past.
Right.
History is a teacher. And so I had to detail it so people could, it's informative, it's good reading, and if there were any questions about what happened, I have the inside track to it. I covered it. Now, let me say this in concluding about the book. The book isn't meant for everybody. I think it is. You have to be an open-minded realist and have a good mindset, an intellectual, let me say, and enjoy the truth. I think the problem could be with people is my mentor is in it a lot, and sometimes people have problems with living people accomplishments. But here's a key: if it didn't happen, you would be, saying it's a lie. But as opposed to say it's a lie, you turn your head from it because you don't want to admit it's the truth.
Right.
So what I did was I put a few historical events in the book, blow by blow by blow. One of the greatest things I used to do, man, I look forward to reading the journal. Just reading the journal. It was just, man, I'd get me a coffee or something. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, bag of chips or the soda, get in the corner, get somewhere, and just read, man, read my journal. I read it from front to back, then I go from back to front just to soak in all the events and the people and the breedings and the sales and everything was happening, the information and the news and the show report. Well, I have a very descriptive area for show reports. And though a lot of them are my mentor, he deserves his props. And it happened just like I wrote it. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
I used to like to go to straight to the show reports in the magazine, but then I started out looking for numbers and asterisks because by the numbers you knew that these were like quality.
Exactly.
So I would highlight everything I seen with a number, or even if I seen a referee with an asterisk that matched that referee that match, I want to read that. And then
exactly.
as it goes on, those same people that didn't have numbers, you notice maybe 2-3 years later, now they got numbers. It was like, it kept you on your mind. Like it was a mind.
Right. And people that you knew. See, because a lot of times the D was so competitive that some people didn't get the numbers, but they deserved the numbers because they were top notch, but they may not have been as flamboyant or out in the open as, let's say, True Colors. Let's say that the West Side Who Ride. They may not have gotten points, but they were his level or better.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
There's a guy called JC. Well, JC is just as bad, but he may not have gotten the numbers. So I understand exactly what you're saying. However, the other part is knowing the people.
No, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you touched on that because, like you said, you're giving props to these type of people because, to be honest, if you say JC in the pit bull world, the first name that'll come up is James Crenshaw.
Yep. And or Joe Covino, out of Chicago.
I think people still got a taste of Crenshaw in their mouth. Covino group is, I think they've long gone though. But
yeah. Well, hey, I'm still here.
No, all right, you're still here, but I say a lot of them not on the internet. The Covino people probably more than likely.
Exactly. I was just messing with you, man.
No, I had to just mess back with you.
Right.
But I say, like I said, you say JC, I think more of his, fan base is still active and on social media. So, but it ain't a bad thing. It's just like you said, it is what it is.
You got original Bounty Hunter. Definitely deserved to be rated. He may not have been rated on there, but he deserves it. Noonie.
I see his name in the Bounty Hunter. I mean, in the journal also.
And let me see. I'm just trying to say a few people. Noonie deserved it.
The interview with Noonie too. Yes,
okay. Good guy. There was a guy. He kind of got all of it, but they call him C, but I gave him his nickname. His nickname was Rising Star. He deserved. Man, there was just a lot of. Did
he own the dog Sparky?
He owned
Rising Stars
Champion Buddy. No. He owned Champ. This was the original Rising Star.
Okay.
You know, back in the 80s, the early 80s.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, he owned Champion Buddy. He owned Champion Mickey, some other good dogs. Mickey was another Thurman's bred dog. As a matter of fact, a half brother to Champion Sly that people didn't know about. There was a brother by the name of Armin, you know, that deserve it. Man, it's so many. And forgive me, you know, whoever is listening to this, if your name didn't come up, it's just so many of you guys that are just really serious, good, solid dog men, man. I mean, like, just some good guys, man, you know, who really tried to do their thing with the dogs and be decent, upright people. And there was a lot of them, man. Michigan was it was so competitive, man. And there was some Southside boys. Squirrel, he deserved it. You know what I'm saying? I just want to, you know, names are coming to me as I'm saying it, man. It's just a whole bunch of good old guys, man. Woo! Yeah, just to have met a lot of the people, to been around, and to have seen a lot of the people, man. It was really, really, really a beautiful thing. And this is something else I want to say, you know, because I know we're getting close to the time, and you know, you can always have me back another time.
Oh, definitely. I definitely want to have you back when you get closer to letting your next book out too.
Okay. I prided myself into not letting pride or ego get in the way, and the reason that my 18 generational dog is so versatilely bred is because if anyone had something I wanted, I'm knocking on their door. Now, you have the right to say no. That's okay. But I'm not going to, you know what I'm saying, we can be competitors, but if I like what you have, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to either, I'm coming to you first, or when the opportunity comes around and I see it, and I know it is legit, I'm going to buy it. You know, and that's what kind of separated me from a lot of people. So when we talk about Michigan's finest dogs in one pedigree, I can say more than likely I have the most interesting blend of historical Michigan dogs than anybody, because you figure my Michigan dogs go back to the 70s. In closing, I want to say, like, the Great Fireball, you know, like, she's kind of way back maybe in my 14th generation or something like that, but one of the greatest females to ever live.
Got you. You got a picture of her?
I do.
Oh, you think you could send me? I'll put it at the back of the page, back of the video, if you don't mind.
I could do that. I could do that. And concluding about the book, just the show news is so entertaining because I kind of tell it the way it is so you understand what happened. Because sometimes when we read show news, we weren't sure about what happened until you talk to somebody and say, oh, yeah, so-and-so and so-and-so, and so-and-so did this. I'm like, oh, it didn't say that. It just says at this certain time you had a winner. But when you talk to that person and they tell you something, you say, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, so it was a KO, huh?
They go more into the blow by blow.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you have so many like matches crammed up, so you could just get with a little information, and then you just determine the winner is just this based on this time. And yeah, I get what you're saying too.
Yes. Go ahead.
You finish up.
No, I was saying, yeah, that just helps you to know. Again, you know, it is good to understand when we're looking at history, and that's why these titles were created. They are not to promote or to try to persuade anybody to do anything. It's just tagging accomplishments so you can understand. When you look at a pet, it just helps you to understand better the accomplishments or the traits, because sometimes there's consistent traits. But if the traits haven't been documented, you're kind of going in the blind.
Right.
You know, so there are a lot of other titles in there that's fitting that helps us to better understand the dogs and their accomplishments. And I'm really proud of that, man, because it helps.
Got you.
Yeah.
And on that note, man, I suggest anybody within ears reach, if you're a game dog historian, fanatic, and fascinated with these dogs, check that book out. I'll put the number up for you. Can just give the doctor a call, Sijo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we going
and remember, nothing sold for any illegal purposes. If you talking illegal anything, I won't respond to you. I don't like people who can't really afford to take care of their animals. I love to see people take good care of their dogs. I love seeing older pit bulls by Dogman that are 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old that are living a life that they're supposed to live because, you know, you deem them worthy. Those are the type of things I like to see, and that's what I'm really about, preserving the breed and seeing people learn more about them, love them, take care of them, and give them what they deserve, you know, a good life, you know.
And enjoy them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And on that note, hope y'all enjoy this interview. I know I did. And I had fun doing it. Listen out for the next one. Like I said, y'all go ahead and cop the book. We out.
Hey, man, I appreciate it, man.
Definitely.
All righty.